Hey, everybody. Jim Cummings here. Welcome to my podcast, Toon'd In with Jim Cummings. We have a great guest for you today. But before we get to that, make sure you like and subscribe. Our podcast has partnered with the largest Comic-Con in North America, Fan Expo, the Juggernaut. We're touring all over North America live, so get your tickets and come be a part of the live audience. It'll be fun. Go to fanexpohq.com for the tickets. We'll see you in a city near you, or a little bit away, but you can drive. And with all that said and done, sit back and enjoy today's episode. And as always, thanks for tuning in to Toon'd In with Jim Cummings.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Toon'd In with Jim Cummings. I'm producer Chris, joined as always by the legend himself, Mr. Jim Cummings. How are you doing today, sir?
Hello. Yet another day in paradise. And look who we've got on the show today.
Yes, wow. We have a very special guest today.
Everyone knows who I am.
Yes. Right? Oh, Meg. Well, they know of you.
We have a very special guest for you today. We have none other than Aaron Blaise. He worked at Disney for 21 years, worked on projects such as Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, Aladdin, Mulan, and many, many more. We're going to have a great conversation with him today. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thank you for having me. I am completely and utterly honored. So thank you for. I went through the roof when we got the email for you guys asking about it. So I'm super happy to be here.
Well, that's great. Well, we appreciate that. We really appreciate having you here.
Thank you.
You're a true genius. I mean, my goodness, there is no question.
I'm basking in the glow for sure. Sitting with you on the other side. So yeah, we were talking a little bit earlier about how it's interesting to me how we've gone so many years without actually meeting. And we've worked with so many incredible folks, from, Tom Schumacher and Pam Coates all the way down through Ron and John.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
All the guys and everybody. So I'm really happy that we finally got to break the ice.
Same here. Welcome.
Thank you.
My gosh. I'm always curious. One thing I always want to know, I've said it before, I knew I wanted to do what I've been doing when I was 5.
Yeah.
Long time ago. I saw Mel Blanc on the Jack Benny program and said, okay, I'll do that. And how about yourself? Did you come out of the womb doodling, or how did that work?
Almost. I was born in 1968 and I started drawing, when I was still sitting in the high chair. So when people ask me, how long have you been drawing? I always like to tell them I started drawing when the Beatles were still a band and Jimi Hendrix was still playing guitar.
Yeah. Wow.
And I've always been enamored with nature and drawing the natural world, drawing animals. That was always my go-to. I was born in the Northeast. I was born up in Burlington, Vermont. Oh. And my parents split up in the early 70s, and I ended up down in Florida in the mid-70s, joined my mother. My mother came down here and with my stepfather. And I grew up in the Everglades, down in the swamps.
Oh, wow.
We lived in a little trailer, and I was always out chasing animals and drawing. And from that early age, I always knew I was going to be an artist. Now, I wasn't always going to be an animator. I wanted to be a painter. I wanted to be an illustrator. And
I bet you were good at drawing alligators.
Yes, I was. Actually, we used to.
Honestly.
Well, I'm such a Florida guy, a Florida man,
Yeah.
Because I really did grow up that way. Me and my buddies would go out, we'd go bass fishing every once in a while. We'd catch an alligator. And we had tanks, and we'd keep the alligator in the tanks, and we'd feed them.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was funny. We grew up that way. And,
oh, my gosh.
So I did draw alligators, and I was drawing all kinds of wonderful bird life. And I grew up on the ocean as well. And so I wanted to be a naturalist, a illustrator for National Geographic. When I'd go to sleep at night, and I had these stacks of National Geographics under my bed, and I'd read them, and I have these dreams of going to all these places. And so that's what I wanted to do. So I went to college to be an illustrator for National Geographic. And that door kind of closed because they only freelance. They didn't have staff illustrators. And so all of a sudden, I found out about 2 companies coming to our college to interview for internships. One was Hallmark Cards, and the
Oh
other
my
one,
gosh.
and the other one was Disney.
Well,
And
I've worked
so,
for both of them. I can't
yeah,
believe that.
so
That's
I put
amazing. We have
together a portfolio
something
for
else in
Disney.
common.
Yeah, and I got in. I got into this internship, and I trained under Glenn Keane. And,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so he taught me animation, and that was 40 years ago, or just about 40 years ago, and
Wow.
I never looked back. And so here we are.
That's
Oh,
not a bad
no
person
kidding.
to learn from.
Yeah,
No kidding.
Yeah, and I mean, I was this 20-year-old kid that knew nothing about animation. I didn't know who Glenn Keane was.
Yeah.
Didn't know anything about it. I was this animal nerd that came in that knew how to draw, and so he took me under his wing. And they were just finishing up Oliver and Company and starting The Little Mermaid.
Oh,
And,
yes.
yeah, and so he started talking because he had kind of a similar background. Kind of fell into animation, and he started talking to me about animation from this artist, illustration, painter, classical artist point of view. And I was, and if you've ever seen Glenn talk, he's just so passionate about everything he talks about. And so I was just within 10 minutes of sitting down with him, I knew that's what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Wow. No kidding. Yeah. Well, I think the earlier you decide what you want to do, the better. Really, just plain old the better.
Absolutely. I mean, it's from both my parents are artists. They weren't artists by trade, but they are artistically inclined. My father was a musician as well. He was on television. He was on all kinds of stuff. And
wow.
And so we grew up, with a lot of music in the house, drawing and painting. Everyone was doing it in our family. And so when I showed an affinity to it, there was no doubt, from the age of, like you said, 5 years old, they're like, you're going to be a commercial artist when you grow up. And, that's never had any other doubts, And so I was very lucky to have parents that supported that.
Boy, you're not kidding. Yeah. When I told my dad, I said, well, and it's oddly enough, I made my living briefly, maybe two and a half years. I lived in New Orleans and I designed and painted Mardi Gras floats.
Nice.
But that was, it was a very different, nothing like your stuff. I mean, I was just like a sort of a scratch and sniff guy, but nothing like the beautiful works that you've done. And I mean, my goodness, Snow Bear. It's enchanting. It's enchanting.
Yeah, Snow Bear is an interesting, it's an interesting journey that I took to get to making Snow Bear. And,
I can't recommend everybody watching, go and get a copy however, whatever is most profitable for Aaron, do that.
Yeah, well, it's on my YouTube channel, so they can just watch it right there on my YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, we'll put a link in the description of this podcast, and they can just click right on over.
Yeah.
Oh man, yes.
So,
well, it's just gorgeous. It's so poignant. It's like watching poetry. It's
thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you. Well, I was, like you said earlier, I was with Disney for 21 years.
Too bad you didn't learn anything. You didn't bring anything up, did you? That's a shame.
Well, it's interesting because the first 15 years we were at Disney had a studio in Florida, here in Orlando at MGM.
That's right. Yeah.
And so I was there from day one to the day they closed the doors. And so
really,
I was actually the last artist. I was one of the first artists there and the last artist to walk out the door. So I was
wow. So you're the one that turned off all the lights when you left, huh?
Basically, yeah. And so I transferred to California, and they laid off everybody from the studio. They only kept about 10 of us, and so I was one of those lucky 10. I transferred to California with my wife and my 2 children, and I started developing. This was right after Brother Bear, after we made Brother Bear, and we started developing another project. But it was during that time, it's a bit of a downer here, but it was during that time that my wife was diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer.
Oh, God bless.
And so as we tried to make the film, she got sicker and sicker, and we just weren't able to get ahead of it. And I lost her in 2007. And I was really devastated, obviously. And we've been together for 20 years. And I lost that drive to make films. And I was really struggling at Disney to the point where I left the company. And that's when I decided to start over. Came back to Florida, got this business going that I'm doing now with my business partner, Nick Birch. And And along the way, that covers everything I just told you, covers a span of about 18 years. And it's 19 years ago now that my wife passed away. But about 8 years ago, I met my business partner's sister-in-law, his wife's sister, and we fell in love, and we got married about 3 years ago. And so,
congratulations!
That whole journey, I boiled down to this little metaphor about this snow bear wanting companionship, this lonely polar bear wandering the Arctic, and he builds a companion, but life is fragile, man, and he loses his friend, he loses his companion. She melts away, or it melts away, which is, it's a whole, like I said, it was all a metaphor for like 20 years of my life and finding love again and all of that. So it's not just about a polar bear and the snow bear.
Right. It really certainly isn't.
A little bit of a journey there. And so it was very therapeutic. It was
sort of an allegory,
or it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you, working on something that's that personal, is that tough, or is that cathartic?
It's cathartic. It's tough. It's incredibly joyful at times. Even the times where I'm sitting there and drawing scenes that represented moments in my life that made me cry, I'd be sitting there, tearing up while I'm drawing, but it's almost like a release. You get it out of you, and it's up there, and it represents something for me. And I've had a lot of people that know my story, and even people that don't know my story, come up to me afterwards and say, "Man, there's a lot more to that than what's on the surface, isn't there?" I said, there's a lot more. John Musker, he came up to me after when he saw
really?
Yeah, when we first screened it at CTN a couple of years ago, the first screening we ever did of it. And John
he must have loved it.
He loved it. And he came up, and he knows my story. He was there when I lost my life and everything. And he says, "That means a lot more than just a snow bear and a polar bear, doesn't it?" And I said, "Yeah." And he gave me a big hug. Yeah, it was nice.
Oh, yeah. Well, he would know.
Yeah. Exactly.
You and he, I dare say, are cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, he's a good man. Man.
He sure is. Musker Clements.
Yes, I know.
I know those guys.
Coming to that event there in May too, so that's going to be cool.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And what is that? Wow. What is that event, just for anybody watching who might be curious?
So on May 23rd and 24th in Los Angeles at the Wilshire Ebell Theater, we're doing a 2-day seminar on the art of animated filmmaking, from concept all the way to distribution, over 2 days.
Oh, wow.
On the stage. So we're
Soup to
bringing
nuts,
directors, producers, writers, post-production, voice talent, effects animators, story artists, all this stuff. Everybody, the top people in the business, trying to bring them together, and people are going to get up and talk and lecture, and so for people that are interested in animated filmmaking, we're trying to provide something specifically for that. You got Lightbox, you've got CTN, and they're wonderful events, but they cast a broader net. We're trying to cast kind of a more narrow net towards animation specific.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
Well, I wish I could be there.
I wish you could too.
Yeah. I was talking with my wife Margaret, and I was thinking, is there a possibility that I could just do a shout out to you on
that? I think there's a
recording.
We should definitely do that. So if that's the only way I can get to you, then I'm going to.
I'm kind of stuck. Contracts are signed, and you know how that goes.
I'm with you. I know how it is. Yeah.
Have you ever ventured into the world of conventions? Comic-Cons, so to speak?
No, I haven't. I mean, I've gone to Comic-Con once, and I've gone, and I've done, obviously Lightbox and CTN and things like that, but those to me aren't really conventions in my mind. But no, I haven't really done it. I have a feeling I'm probably going to be dipping my toe into it a little bit more coming up, but no, I haven't done it.
Yeah, well, I think they would love you, right, Christopher? I mean, my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
I think our following and our audience is building up enough that I think we can start going into that now, and it won't be, I don't want to say wasted time, but yeah, it'll be time well spent for sure.
Oh yeah, I have to agree. Good for you.
Yeah, I wanted to go back and ask you, you talked about how originally you weren't an animator, that you had to learn animation from sketching or drawing. What does that look like? What does the learning process of, doing still animations, still drawings, excuse me, into, bringing that drawing to life? What's the first things that
That's a great question, because I didn't go to school for animation. I went to school for illustration. I went to the Ringling College of Art and Design, Sarasota, Florida, which is a wonderful animation school now. But when I went, they didn't have animation. So, and when I interviewed with Disney, this is in 1988. And so when I interviewed with Disney, this is the first time they'd ever gone outside of animation schools. They wanted to see if they could go out, because they wanted to staff the studio in Orlando. So they wanted to go to top schools that had really strong foundational studies.
Yeah, it used to be all about Cal Arts, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, they kind of tapped out Cal Arts.
Yeah,
and they tapped out Sheridan, which is the other big school in Toronto, animation school. And so they went around to other art schools that didn't necessarily teach animation, but had students that could draw. And so I put together that portfolio. So I didn't know if I was going to be a background painter or an animator or what I was going to do, but I just thought, oh, Disney, that's interesting. But I never thought about it. So I didn't go to so once again, they reiterate, I didn't go to art animation school. I went for illustration. So when I went in this internship, they didn't know how it was going to go. So they only had it for 6 weeks. It was just 6 weeks. Wow. It was June and July. So I went out there, got on with Glenn, and we just went into this hardcore, course of learning animation. I learned I learned all the basics of animation and everything, all within 6 weeks. And then they hired us. They hired us at the end of that.
Wow. You're a quick study.
Well, I learned enough so I could start drawing at the studio when they opened that up. And then it was trial by fire. I was surrounded by a lot of other people that had been in the industry or had been through school and everything. And so I picked it all up from them.
Would you say that's a difficult transition? I mean, for somebody like me who knows, couldn't tell you, the next thing about animation or illustration, is that a hard jump, or does it come pretty naturally?
No, it was incredibly difficult. I was incredibly disheartened. At the time, I had been at the top of my class. I could draw pretty well. And I always felt comfortable in art doing what I was doing. As soon as I started doing animation, I could do the drawing. But man, I had a hard time understanding the action, the animation, the acting, the emotion, all the stuff that Glenn was so great at. And it was the first time where I felt like, I can't do this. It all comes so easy, when I was a kid growing up into school and into college. And then all of a sudden, I'd been stretched so far that it was freaking me out because
no kidding.
I'm struggling. Wow. What's going on? I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, that's almost hard to believe, seeing where you are now. I mean, my goodness, ye gads, you're on like Mount Everest here.
I wanted to quit so badly, and Glenn kept coming to me and going, "Don't quit. It's gonna click. It's gonna click. Just listen to what I'm telling you and keep doing what I'm telling you." And he was right. And after a little while, I started to see it, and it started to click, and I just kept doing it, and it came, every day was a little less hard. It's never easy, but it's a little less hard each day.
Well, there's a lesson there for all of you listening out there, right?
Yeah, persistence. That's the one thing I'm always lecturing about is, you're going to go through a lot of things in your life. You're going to have a lot of things pop up and that are going to get in your way. They're going to be barriers, whether it's emotional stuff, physical things, whatever. But you got to persist through it, man. And don't give up. Don't give up.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Tortoise and the hare.
I've heard you talk in other interviews about how hard it was for you to animate the Beast in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Do you think that your love for animals and drawing animals growing up helped you out with that?
Yes, absolutely. 100%. And,
and what made him so difficult to animate?
Well, there was two aspects of it that made him difficult. There's the visual, the physical aspect of him. He's an incredibly complex character to draw, and not just to draw, but then to turn in space, right? And there's a lot of complexity in that face to get the emotion, which leads me to the second part, which is the emotion. There's a lot of depth to that character, and a lot of subtlety and a lot of broadness and a lot of
Yes.
subtext.
Well, I really appreciated the subtleties that you would do, the little side glances, the little half smirks, and it was just enough to just get it across. And you're thinking, I could just about read this bear's mind.
And that's where Glenn would ride us so hard on is, you don't have to be over the top. And that really, I was a 24-year-old kid at the time, or 22 or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
I evolved. So much in that year and a half that I worked on that film under Glenn. I had my little 6-week internship with him, and a couple of years later, I'm working with him on The Beast, and that was like my master class.
I'll bet.
It really, Glenn, I can't say enough wonderful things about him as a human, as a boss, as an artist. Everything I am is because of that guy, because he gave me so many opportunities. And one of the things about Glenn is just how generous he is with the work that he gives out. He was the supervisor of The Beast. He could have hoarded every great shot for himself. But there was 5 other guys, and some of us, like myself, were evolving and looking for our break. And so he gave us really wonderful, juicy scenes that we could put on our reel and would launch us into our career. And so
no kidding.
The sequence in Beauty and the Beast where they're arguing back and forth in front of the fireplace where she's trying to bandage him. It's a short sequence, but it's extremely broad, but it's also subtle. And there's a lot of really wonderful acting opportunities in that. And so he gave that to me, and that just launched everything. That to this day, that's one of my favorite sequences that I ever got.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. Now how a lot of people still to this day think that when you're doing a movie, when you're doing a cartoon, from my angle, I'm sitting there watching a finished product and mouthing.
Yeah.
I'm following the lips. I'm following the. Can you straighten everybody out on that? How that works between the actor, the voice actor, and the incredible animator? I mean, what's the sequence there? Let's get this over with once and for all.
I'll go all the way back to the act of writing. So when we write a character, we have a character in mind. And so we write it, then we design the look of that character around what we've written. Then now we've got to find someone that's going to fit that character that we've created as a voice, right? And so we go out and in your case, for Winnie the Pooh, let's say it's Winnie the Pooh. And so now we will storyboard we've got the character, now we storyboard the story. Now we need somebody to give it some life. We've got what we've written on page, and now we've got some images up on the screen in storyboard form, but now we need someone to really bring it to life through the...
Well, then you need to animate some honey.
That's right.
And I promise you that will help.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
So very much.
And so it's that's the meat that you give the animator. And we sit down and we've got a couple of ideas in our head, but when you give us something like that to sit down, now all of a sudden, ping, it just comes to life in your mind. And it's just a matter of making it go from your brain down through your arm and out of your hand. But they really depend on having...
So that's the circuit. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So
that's
go.
Incredible.
And so many wonderful talents that have come through, whether it's you or Robin Williams or whoever it might be, even, guys like, I remember Frank Welker doing Raja the Tiger when I did that.
Yes.
Stuff like that. It was really funny.
Yeah. And Abu.
Just doing animal sounds really gave me some meat to work on.
Yeah. I just spent the weekend with him. He's a great guy.
Oh yeah. That's great.
My gosh. Now, have you ever been tapped to do some of these Comic-Cons out here? Because I would imagine, different animators like Tad Stone's guy who came up with Darkwing Duck. He does them a lot, and he has a good time.
I know. It's I have not, and I'm hoping maybe as we get a little further down the road and some of the work that I'm doing now. Because, for the last 15 years, I've really, outside of Snow Bay, I've really focused on education. That's what I've been doing.
Oh,
and,
okay.
So I've been creating teaching. It's funny. When I came back to Florida, I was really trying to figure out what the heck I was going to do. And I knew I didn't want to work for the studios. I needed to redefine myself. I needed to find myself. I needed to heal. I wanted to do all that stuff. I wanted to do something that would put some good back into the world that my wife would have been proud of.
Yes.
All of that. And I remember sitting down and having a coffee and thinking about this. And Glenn Keane popped into my head. And I was thinking about all the things that he had given me over the years and taught me. And then Mark Henn that had taught me stuff. And then Andreas and James Baxter and all these wonderful animators that have kind of imparted wisdom to me and that I was able to grow from. Yeah. And so then I thought, I can pass that on to another generation. And so that's what started this. I thought, I can do this on the internet. YouTube's a thing. I can create. Yeah. So, and I can price it, because the other thing that was bugging me was how incredibly expensive colleges have gotten. Yeah. So I thought I can give some quality education to students that maybe can't afford college, and it just kind of snowballed from there. So I spent 13 years or so building that business up, and it became really pretty successful, and we've gotten around the world. And so then I was able to step back and go, okay, we've got enough revenue coming in from that we can go off and we can make Snow Bear. And so that allowed me to go and make Snow Bear.
Speaking of snowballing.
Yeah. Yes, very nice.
That's amazing.
And, but then we wanted to do something else. We had built up, our own audience for what we do from the education standpoint. Mm-hmm. But I'm not with Disney anymore. I don't have the Disney audience. I've got my own audience. And I thought, well, what if I live stream the entire process of making Snow Bear? And so for 3 years, every Tuesday and Thursday, no matter where I was in the process, I flipped on my cameras, turned everything on, and people joined me and they watched me make it in real time.
Wow, that's really cool.
We recorded almost 500 hours of the making of that film.
Wow.
And so it served
and that's out there. I suspect people can tap into that as we speak.
Members on our site, we've got the library, and if you become a member on the site, you tune into the library and you can go through the archives and you can watch any aspect of making the film.
It's only 500 hours. I'll do that tomorrow.
Exactly. But what what was so cool is by the time we had the film finished, we had an audience ready to go. We had, ambassadors out to spread the word, and it worked really well. And so we're going to continue making films that way.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's very creative.
That's inspirational. My gosh. Do you find yourself mentoring some of the students, some of the people, some of the younger people that you run into?
All the time. Yeah, that's one of the secondary things that's come from this is, especially at student age and young professional age that have come up and kind of used my courses. There's a lot of them out there now. Mm-hmm. And so when we go to things like Annecy, in France, the animation festival there, we can't get 20 yards down the beach or down the sidewalk without, kids running up and going, "Oh, I took your courses." And
really?
Yeah, it's really great. I love it.
Oh, that must be wonderful.
Yeah, the other one too we get a lot now that we're just starting to get is, hey, I couldn't afford to go to college, which is why we were doing this. Yeah. I couldn't afford to go to college, but I took your courses and I just got my first job. And those are the ones that I really, really love.
Wow, that's got to be really rewarding.
It's super rewarding. It's great.
Yeah.
And
gosh.
So I know we're going down the right path, I guess.
Amazing.
Now, you also had a stint in directing. You directed Brother Bear, which was nominated for Best Animation at the Oscars. Congratulations on that. That's a huge feat. What was that experience like? And what, for the audience and people who don't know, what is an animation director? What is your responsibilities? What is your job? What does that look like?
An animation director is not much different than a live action director. It's just that the things we have to do just fall under different umbrellas. So what that means is, obviously in an animated film, everything you see and hear has to be created from scratch, right?
Yeah.
So it's very, especially with something that's feature length.
Wow. Well, that sounds easy.
Right. It's a giant undertaking.
Yeah.
You know, every blade of grass has to be designed.
Yes.
You know, every rock, every character, everything. And so it becomes this big machine. And so it starts out obviously, you know, with the writing. Traditionally, animation directors are very involved in the writing of the films. It's not like in live action where a director will inherit a script. A lot of times sometimes it'll happen this way, but a lot of times they're involved very deeply with the writing. And then from there it goes in the story. You're working with the story artists, and then from there you start working with art directors, production designers, and it just keeps getting, you know, more and more subdivided. Then you know we get into casting, so we start talking with casting. We get into music. You know,
I was going to ask you that. At what point do you go to the composer or the orchestra?
It's interesting. You know, with Brother Bear, the songs were written by Phil Collins, and Mark Mancina scored it. Yeah. But Phil also wanted to be involved a little bit with scoring too. He wanted, you know, because he was interested in doing that. So Mark was really great in kind of guiding him through that part. He picked a couple of sequences that were obviously percussive, and and so and he scored those. But obviously, you know, the songwriting in Disney films and a lot of musicals, the story doesn't just stop and then pick up at the end of the song. The song should carry some arc of the story, some aspect of the story. So
yes.
Yeah. So that being said, you know, Phil and Mark were involved in the story process of the film pretty early on. So, you know, but on the other hand, when I did Snow Bear, I didn't, you know, I brought Mark in probably towards the last quarter before, you know, because I was kind of working it out, but there was no dialogue. There weren't a lot of story changes. So it can vary. And that was just straight score. So if it's just a straight score, non-musical, you can bring them in towards the end. But if you're writing songs, you want to kind of keep them through. And we had weekly meetings with Phil because he was part of the story team. So he'd write lyrics and he'd call me at home and sing me some lyrics. It's pretty cool getting phone calls from Phil Collins.
Yeah, no kidding.
I was about to ask, did your conversations ever stray away to, you know, his musical career or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially in the recording sessions. One of the coolest sessions that I've ever had in my career was we did the opening. Phil wrote the opening song to Brother Bear, the Great Spirit song, and but he had just done Tarzan, and so we wanted to do something a little different because we didn't want to sound like we're repeating ourselves. So we decided. And poor Phil, he wasn't happy about it, but he rolled with the punches. But we decided we wanted someone else to sing it. And so at first we thought Richie Havens, who's a great, you know, Woodstock.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
But and he would have been great, but he wanted to change the key. We didn't want to change the key, so we got Tina Turner instead. And so that was pretty cool. So one of my greatest experiences that I had was I went to Switzerland to record Tina, and Phil lives there.
Switzerland.
So Phil came to the recording session, and you know, and I grew up in the 70s and 80s. So Tina Turner and Phil Collins were One More Night was my prom song.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know?
Well, one of my favorite things, he goes,
there and
yes, I'm going to sing that bloody song again. I can feel it coming in the air. Okay, Phil, we get it. Oh, man.
And sitting there having lunch, and I'm just this kid from the swamps of Florida, and I'm sitting here, and Phil sitting here, and Tina sitting there, and it's just the three of us together.
Just another day. Another day at the office, right? Yeah, typical.
Yeah, and I remember, you know, it was before cell phones, and I'm just going click, click, trying to take these mental pictures so I don't forget it. Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, that's an amazing. You've got some memories there.
I do. Yeah. You know, I'm going to change it up though, because I want to push it back to you a little bit. And I was thinking about today the differences between recording with screen actors and then recording with voice actors. And I wanted to see what you thought about, because I worked with Joaquin Phoenix, who was he worked out to be a wonderful voice actor for Brother Bear.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's an amazing actor, period.
He's a great actor, yeah.
My
but it was
goodness.
interesting because he's so used to being contained. Acting, you know, when you think about some of the stuff he does, and he gets a little bit nervous in front of the camera, or in front of the mic, which was interesting.
Wow.
But it was so different for me and I was a new director too, so everything was new.
Yeah.
But pulling the performance out of say Joaquin, who, like I said, was wonderful, but it was different pulling that performance.
I like the phrase "pulling the performance out of that." That says a little right there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You don't have feed in lines, right? So it's pulling that performance out, as opposed to someone like you that this is what you do, and
that's all I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was the experiences are completely different, and the choices we get are so completely different. The things
I would imagine.
And I was just wondering if there's, not to take it off of me, but I'm just curious.
No, please.
If you had a theory on those differences and how you approach it.
Well, one thing I can remember, they will remain nameless. I've worked with any number of face people. And my old joke is that, anybody can be an actor if you get to use your face. But, different people that I work with, it would slow down the whole thing if I just did an impression of them. But a lot of times you'll be on mic with someone who is usually on camera, and they'll sit there and they'll go,
and they're acting, right?
and they're just, wow, I'm really acting over here. And oh, and look, see, I'm mad. And
That's true. True.
Oh yeah, and the voice directors are going, okay, honey, that's really good. I love that. Now, can I hear it? Oh, that's right. This is a microphone, not a camera.
Yeah,
it's a different critter.
Well, it's the other thing too, because a face actor, like you say, a lot of times with Disney, we're recording it, so to them it's feeling like a close-up too. And what do you do in a close-up? You keep it all kind of contained, and you're not being broad, and so it's hard to kind of get that, pull it out of them and free them up.
Yeah. Yes, and so true.
Some of the things, and once I got Joaquin, I remember one sequence in particular. Once we got him, he loosened up, and we were recording this really emotionally heavy scene where in Brother Bear, Kenai's older brother Sitka, he goes down in this avalanche of ice and he's lost in the water, and Kenai has to go down, and he's screaming for his brother and trying to find him, and all this rubble. And so I pitched the whole sequence to Joaquin, and he kind of preps himself for it. And I had forgotten, because it was probably a year or two, maybe 3 years after he had lost his brother River Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I think he really channeled that, because he really went deep into that, and it was just so emotionally raw that I just sat there, and I was just mesmerized. And eventually, after a minute or two, he's like, "Are you ever going to yell cut?" I was like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry, cut."
Oh, poor guy.
I felt like I was watching a movie,
Yeah.
And, so it was interesting.
Well, you were.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you were. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, that's one of the hardest things to do is cry on cue.
Yeah.
You have to have a reservoir of pain that you can call on.
I always say, you know what I think is even harder than crying on cue is laughing on cue. Making yourself
he did it.
Genuine,
that was very good, Aaron. That was
but like a genuine belly laugh. Like a genuine belly laugh, I think, is harder to really crack yourself up. When you're laughing so hard that you can't even stop yourself. Yeah. I think that's harder than crying personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's the laughing and crying. It's
the two masks.
It's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Comedy and tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. How about ad-libbing? And two guys that were really great with that. Well, three guys that I worked with on Brother Bear that were great at ad-libbing: Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah.
Bob and Doug. Bob and Doug.
Yeah.
And that's
They're good, eh?
yeah, and their whole thing is improv. And so it was really interesting how much of what they ad-libbed went into the film instead of the script.
Uh-huh.
It was really cool. So I was wondering how much ad-libbing do you
But too much, probably. They,
Yeah.
I've been told, would it kill you to say what we wrote?
do?
Would it just kill you? But my old joke is I always punish them by doing it exactly as they wrote. And then I'll do it. The next take will be what they should have written.
Yeah.
And I'm not to toot my own horn, but it was always fun. Darkwing Duck would be a good one. I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the winged scourge that pecks at your nightmares. I am Darkwing Duck. And the middle one would always change. And I've said this before, so I hope I'm not boring anybody out there. But
No.
I would always say, I am the terror that flaps in the night. And then about the seventh show in, the writer wrote, it doesn't matter what I write here. Jim's going to say something else anyway. I am Darkwing Duck.
That's great.
And so it was, it's got its place. It's got its place. Ad-libbing has its place, right?
It does. Yeah. And I mean, and you get great stuff because it starts becoming more natural than what's written,
Yeah. Well, I think the key is, and I discovered this many moons ago, is that if it's funny for the sake of funny, and all of a sudden the story kind of grinds to a halt.
Yeah.
And now we laugh at this over here. Now, can we get, now where were we now? We were robbing a bank. Can we get back to robbing the bank or something? As long as it doesn't stop the story, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it adds to, good. If it doesn't, keep going.
Well, the other one that I like is, and I never got to do this except with Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas, was bringing our actors in at the same time. We always recorded them separately.
Yeah.
But with those guys, we were able to bring them. They were a team, and so we bring them together, and that was gold because they would just feed off of one another, and it would just
no
go back
doubt.
and forth. And once they got the rhythm and the drive of what the scene was supposed to be about, they were just coming up with all kinds of stuff. And I would read against them in the room. And I got kicked out because I kept blowing takes because I was laughing so hard. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
I was wondering, do you ever get that opportunity to read against people?
I cherish it when it's not often. It's not often.
It's not.
And I really, really prefer it. And of course, years ago when COVID popped up, well, oh my gosh, then it really gave them an excuse to isolate you. And I've always said that acting I couldn't assign a percentage to it, but acting is also reacting.
Yeah.
And if there's nothing happening around you, if you're sitting in a bubble, well, you're reacting to lots of nothing.
Well, to your point that you were saying earlier, to educate the public about, when that voice actor comes in compared to the animation, the other thing is that people don't realize is the actors aren't coming together on the stage and acting back and forth like you see on the screen.
Right.
They don't realize that everything's recorded separately, and you bring it together, and now you've got characters talking to one another on screen that weren't recorded together, and it's incredibly difficult to get that to sound natural.
Yeah. Oh, I agree, and I'm a big fan, and oftentimes to make up for that, they'll isolate you.
Yeah.
So that because you can't overlap. In natural conversation, we overlap.
But if you at least have on the cans, and if you guys are in separate booths and recording off of one another, then it's really cool. There was one time we brought in both Joaquin Phoenix and Jeremy Suarez, who played the voice of Coda. And Jeremy was a little pro. He's like 40 years old now, but he was a little pro at the time. And man, the stuff we got out of them was great. There was one point that Joaquin messed up his line and he called one of the other characters by the wrong name. And so Jeremy just rolled with it and he corrected him. And by the way, his name's Bucky, or whatever. I can't remember what the line is.
Right.
He was like, oh my God, that's great. And we kept it. And that went into the movie. But we only would have gotten that by them being there together. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I've been notorious ad-libber too, and I'll hope I'm not repeating this story too much. But Don Hahn, when we saw the screening of The Lion King for the first time, I sang Hakuna Matata and Jess Harnell for Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella because they weren't singers. So they, well, let's just get Jim and Jess to sing it. And then we can give them a cassette. They can ride around in their car for a month. And then they'll know it like the way they do Happy Birthday.
Right.
Well, I basically wrote the fart verse in Hakuna Matata. And when I was immortal, we were walking down the lane there after, and I said to Don Hahn, I said, "You kept in the fart verse?" Because I couldn't imagine, Disney alluding, to that. And he goes, "It's the funniest thing in the movie." And I go, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Well, I don't see my name in the credits with additional lyrics by."
That's funny.
So it wasn't that funny to me, but I get to tell people like you that story, so it's not too
I just emailed Don Hahn today, actually. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, tell him I said, hey, and
I will.
what are you doing? And hire me. And you too.
We just got
And Chris, we'll all get a gig.
Well,
Did you?
That's wonderful.
When animation started to shift from 2D to 3D, what was your personal experience with that? Did you start animating in 3D? Did you always? Because I know Snow Bear is in 2D, of course.
Yeah, no, I've never learned 3D. It was crazy. That was a crazy time, and I see a lot of young people freaking out about AI right now, and and I try to settle them down and say, look, we went through the transition from 2D to 3D. This is very similar, and everything will settle. The dust will settle. The pendulum will swing. But it all happened obviously when Toy Story came out, 1995.
Yeah,
1995, and it was an amazing film. I remember before the film came out, we were watching dailies, and that Army Man sequence, we were just like, we've never seen anything like this, and it was entertaining, and it was visually unlike anything we'd ever seen.
That's right. Yeah,
we knew it was going to change the landscape. We just thought it was going to be an addition to, not replacing. And
okay.
Yeah, and so I was never scared. I was actually really excited. Oh, this is going to be super cool, and we'll be making these films, and we'll all be alongside one another. And it wasn't until a few years after, once we got into 2002, 2003, about 7 years later, that I realized, oh, no, things are changing. This is crazy. And so after Brother Bear came out in 2003, and I didn't have the opportunity to make another 2D film. I had to make a 3D film. I didn't do 3D, but I could direct it.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to learn digital drawing and painting, so that I could get the art that I was trying. We were developing a film called The King of the Elves. It was something I never got made because my wife passed and the film got shut. But that kind of launched my trajectory into digital drawing and painting and filmmaking as well, because even though it's not 3D modeled, Snow Bear, I drew it digitally. I drew it on I'm talking to you guys on a big 32-inch Cintiq pen display screen that you draw on, and that's
wow.
There's no paper that was used for Snow Bear, but it was drawn
really
by hand. Yeah.
Wow.
But even that happened as a result of everything else, because we went into this digital realm, right?
Right.
So, I ended up going down paths that I never would have gone down. I remember Max Howard, who was the head of our studio in Florida, and it was like 1991 or 92, and we're working on Aladdin or something. And he says, Aaron, in a few years, we're going to be drawing on a TV screen. And I went, you're crazy. What are you talking about? I thought he was nuts. At the time, I was thinking like a big cathode ray tube. It's like, how the hell are you going to draw that?
Yeah.
Now thinking about flat screen, what is that? So it's amazing.
Yeah. Do you welcome the new technology, or is it something you have to wrestle with, or are you back? Because I remember.
There's aspects of, like, say, AI. There's obviously aspects of AI that can be scary. There's aspects that I don't agree with as far as copyright and some of the things that go with that. I don't like that. But I also know that it's here to stay.
Yeah.
To me, it's just become another tool in the toolbox. I don't.
Oh, okay.
It's like, for me, when I sit down to use Photoshop, let's say I'm going to do a drawing in Photoshop, I don't use all the other tools. I have a paintbrush, I have a canvas, and I draw. And that's
Oh,
kind of
wow.
how I see that. I'm going to continue to make films the way I want to make films. One of the things I always say is, the finished product as an artist, that's not always the goal. You want to get you do want to get to the finish, but man, it is a joy getting there. It's a joy creating. It's a joy writing. It's a joy painting and drawing and animating. I love that process. So why the hell would I want to give it to a machine to do?
Yeah.
And so
well, it's such a beautiful art form.
Yeah, I agree. And there might be a point where AI can mimic everything that we do by hand, but I'm still going to do it by hand because I love making it by hand.
Yeah.
Well,
I sure
can
do.
go out and take a photograph of something, or I can sit and I can paint it. And that's the process that I love. And so when people ask me about that, or when I post something on social media or on the internet of some animation that I've done or something to promote ourselves, there's always some Yahoo that comes in and goes, hey, AI could do that in about 2 minutes. So yeah, you're right, it can. But you're not an artist. So obviously you're not an artist because I love the process. I love the act of creation. And it's what makes us human. And I actually also, I know I'm rambling, but I'm seeing this pushback. I'm seeing this hunger from the audiences out there for human made.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's good to hear.
That we've gotten on Snow Bear is, man, it's so nice not to see any AI crap. It's so nice to see some human stuff. So that made me
well, for a while, there were kind of walking down that same road as far as the voiceover, too.
It's affecting everything, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, they said, well, we can do your voice. We've got you on, we can make Pooh or Tigger, somebody say whatever the heck we want.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, but I don't know what kind of soul is that?
Yeah.
Where's the heart in there? Is there any heart in that?
There's no soul. There's no human experience, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's audio or visual, it needs human experience behind it for that authenticity.
Yeah.
It's funny. My father, who's going to be 87 this year, he still loves music. He still plays. He can't see anymore, but he plays. And he was on Ed Sullivan in 1964. As a matter of fact, I forgot to tell you that.
Wow! What as what? What was his?
He was in a band called Sandu Scott and the Scotties, and he was one of the Scotties playing on the Christmas show of 1964.
Oh my gosh! How cool is that?
He loves watching like America's Got Talent and things like that.
Oh, sure.
Musical guests, and he showed me something on TikTok. Somebody had showed him of this singer on America's Got Talent, and it was like you were saying, it was a completely fabricated character. It was an AI looking character and AI voice, and he had no idea.
Wow.
He had no idea. He goes, "Listen how good this guy is." And I was like, "Oh, Dad, sorry to tell you."
Yeah. Well, there was years ago, maybe like 10, 12 years ago, there was someone in Japan decided to come up with a AI construct, and it was all on screen. It was a Japanese pop star.
Yeah.
I cannot for the life of me think of the name, which is good.
Yeah.
And
that tells you right there. Yeah.
You're right about that. That's a good point, actually. But I guess she could sell out stadiums, and there would be thousands of people there in the audience. And it would be just a big 10-foot screen on a stage.
I remember what you're talking about. I can't remember the name either, but I remember.
Hatsune Miku?
Yeah.
Hatsune Miku?
Could be, sure.
Yeah. I know that's a really popular one right now. It's like literally just a CGI avatar pretty much.
Yeah.
And it performs like concerts.
I mean, we're definitely living in the future, right? And
so true.
Guys will, but there, I do firmly believe that there's going to be a place, will always be relevant. There's always some relevancy in being able to bring that human experience.
Oh, it has to be. It has to be.
Yeah.
And it has to be discernible, and it has to be something that people are going to appreciate. Yeah. Nobody's ever going to sit there in now or in the future and go, gosh, it's a shame we don't go back to just computers doing our thinking for us and our creating.
It's true.
Darn it. Now we have to have all this pesky talent Doggone it.
Well, sort of related to this subject. I mean, I think it's also important to remember too that, you know, at the end of the day, this is show business, and, you know, half of the decisions come from the business side of things, you know, saving money and whatnot. I wanted to ask you, Aaron, I saw this short on YouTube the other day, and it was an example side by side of different movies using the same animations. For example, like Winnie the Pooh would be walking down, you know, the road and then tumble. And then they showed a clip of, you know, King Louie from the Jungle Book. And it was the exact same, you know, motion.
Oh,
the
yeah.
exact same reused
Yes.
assets, but just obviously a different character, different background. How common was that while you were working at Disney? Because to me, that's a business decision. It's like, let's reuse some assets so we save time.
When they did that, that was before I came into business. So when they did that, that was like in the 60s going into the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to remember back then, after Walt died, animation was sinking to the point when by the time we got to 1984, when Eisner came in, Eisner was going to shut animation down. It was
right.
a sinking ship.
That's right.
It was losing money. It was a mess, you know. And so they were looking for any way. And the other thing too, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this, there's always some young manager or something that comes in that I'm going to do it better this time, you know. And so I'm sure there was a little bit of that when they're making, whether it's the Rescuers Down Under or making Robin Hood. Hey, we got all this other animation that we've done in the past. Let's just recycle it and we'll put new characters over the top of it. And it'll save us all kinds of money. And it didn't save them any time. It didn't save them any money because it all had to be redrawn anyway, and it caused more problems than it saved. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting because they were doing these weird things in order to save the sinking ship, and it wasn't until Eisner came in, and then Roy Disney said no, don't shut it down. We're gonna turn this around, and that's when they brought in Peter Snyder and Tom Schumacher and Don Hahn.
Yes.
But it really kind of turned it around. They got some new blood in. They started thinking about it from a Broadway point of view and started thinking about these musicals. And so by the time I came into the picture, the films, you know, it was off of Oliver and Company and Little Mermaid. No, it was all original stuff. And they weren't thinking about going in and saving money by rehashing old animation. But we all definitely knew the stories. And and it was it really was interesting, and it is fun to see. You know, you see Snow White and you see Maid Marian from Disney's Robin Hood, and they're dancing, and it's exactly the same animation. You know, it looks like it's gone through an AI filter.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, that's the reason I brought that up. Is sorry, Jim.
No, I was just gonna say, if it worked the first time, let's do it again.
Well, then that's the thinking. Right?
Right.
Yeah, the reason I bring that up, though, is because that must be a tempting, you know, business decision where, you know, we can spend all this money on VFX artists, or we can, you know, have Sora, you know, put some.
And that's exactly what the threat is to the industry right now. And so, and the what's even worse of a threat is there's the threat of wanting to do that and pushing forward with that and stripping down your crew and thinking you're saving money, and then in the end you're not getting what you want, and blah blah blah. But then the other threat too is I think that, you know, maybe not the upper studios, but some of the mid-level studios, where what they get out of that money saving, what they get out of that ARS or whatever, and they go, yeah, that's good enough, and that's what they put out there, rather than.
I think we kind of saw that this year with the Super Bowl commercials.
Yep.
I was watching the Super Bowl this year. It was like every other commercial was AI. It was.
And so the threat to our entertainment industry is kind of drowning in a sea of mediocrity, I think is what it is.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So you end up with, and so then you've got a new generation coming up, and that's their standard now. And so all of a sudden the standards drop. And so I think you're going to see this little blip, a downward blip in standards for creativity and visual creativity and music, acting, all of it.
Wow.
It's a weird, it's definitely a weird time. You know, obviously AI can do, you know, has the potential to save the world, do wonderful things.
Sure.
But it also has the potential to, you know, there's a huge adjustment we got coming up. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's to condemn us to mediocrity.
Yeah.
It's I think there a lot of times mediocrity is raised up into the realm of excellence, and it's just no, it isn't.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
it's not. It's
good
not.
enough isn't superb.
Yeah.
It's but everybody just well, no, that's fine. That's good.
Yeah.
It's like
I can't tell you how many students I have, young people that go, man, I
Yeah.
really want to be an animator, but man, I don't want to do all those drawings.
well, wait a minute. Well, then you don't want to be an animator.
Okay. Is there any way I can be an animator without doing all those drawings?
Yeah, well, I really want to be a singer, but I don't feel like doing all those songs. Wait, what? What?
Yeah. It's funny.
Ay.
It's this is my old guy coming out, and I when I talk to younger artists, this is I would preface it by this is my angry old man side, but it's
Yeah.
it's this generation it's the American Idol generation. It's the instant, everything's instant. I need instant information. I got my iPhone, I've got instant stardom. I can't tell you how many times you watch American Idol, and there's some 18-year-old kid going, man, this is my last chance. I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah. Well, you're not going to find anybody with a row of Collier encyclopedias anymore, are you? It's like, wait, what's an encyclopedia? Well, it's a book that you, and then they go, what's a book? Oh, never mind. Never mind.
Yeah, this is the Grumpy Old Men podcast.
Yeah. Yes.
I know this is a cliche question, but I'd feel remiss if I didn't ask it. Do you have a favorite project or character that you worked on?
Oh yeah, I mean a lot, and it's always changing. Obviously, for me, Snow Bear is one of my favorite projects I've ever done. It's my own film. I've never done that before.
Yeah, well, it's
I've never
fabulous.
been able to sit down and just create every single visual that you see on the screen.
It's
and
unbelievable.
As a result of that, I became very, very emotionally attached to that character because that character is me. And so there's that. But then, throughout my career, every project holds a different place in my heart, whether it's the Beast. The Beast, I love the Beast. And that's what he did for my career. But I love that character. I know that part of that character is me. Part of it's Glenn. Part of it's, the other animators that worked on it.
Mm-hmm.
I love, I created Nala, young Nala in The Lion King. And that character is based on, at the time was my daughter. So
that's wonderful.
When I see Nala, I see my daughter up on the screen. And, yeah. So and my daughter's 37 now, and
sure, yeah.
She still tells everybody she's Nala. So that's great.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, but yeah,
gosh.
It's hard to pin down an absolute favorite project or character.
Right.
Brother Bear was the first thing that I ever directed, and it was incredibly difficult. And
really?
There were days that I would just dread getting out of bed.
Now, what was the big roadblock for you? What was the?
Well, I didn't the way that I found out, I was finishing up on Mulan. I was an animator on Mulan. I created Yao and the ancestors and all of that. And I was working very closely with Pam Coates. You know Pam Coates, right? You know Pam Coates, yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought you knew her. I think she's spoken very highly of you, so I thought maybe you knew her. But so I was working with Pam Coates. I was working with Tom Schumacher, and Tom and Peter were talking about some of the things that they had in development. And they mentioned this movie called Bears, and I thought, ooh, that sounds really cool. And so I wanted to get on it, and because I love animals, and so I wanted to animate on it, or I wanted to create some designs or something for them. And but they didn't have anybody working on it. It was just kind of sitting on the shelf. And so I just kept pushing and pushing. And it was Tom Schumacher that had come. He came to me. I came to him because I was a squeaky wheel and a greasy wheel. I was about to say greasy wheel. But, and he said, well, no one's working on it. Have you ever thought about directing? And I was completely blown away. And so I decided, I'd like to take this challenge. And I thought, up to that point, I'd worked on 6 or 7 features. I knew how a movie was made. What I didn't know is I knew in my heart the stories I wanted to tell. I just didn't know how to construct them. I didn't know how to. I love to write, but I never had any proper training, and I certainly didn't know how to write a screenplay. And that's the meat of creating a story. And so I went into it not knowing what I didn't know.
Well, but that could be good.
The thing that I had in my favor, and for me, with my experience, was I had incredibly wonderful executive bosses, Pam Coates, Tom Schumacher.
Mm-hmm.
They allowed me to make my mistakes. They allowed me to fall down, and they didn't fire me. There were so many times I should have been fired.
Always a good sign.
Yeah. They let me make my mistakes and learn from them. And I grew. I was able to grow as a filmmaker and as a director, and I learned what I needed to learn. I always say that, I was on that project for 6 years, and I always say that was my 6-year filmmaking school, because by the time I finished making Brother Bear, then I was ready to make a film. so I'm forever in their debt for giving me the opportunities time after time after time, when they had every right to pull the rug out from under me because I screwed up so many times. They saw something in there, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I dare say they themselves experienced that.
Of course. Yeah.
They knew that was part of the process anyway.
Yeah.
So, God forbid you follow in their footsteps.
Well, I remember one screening, the process of making these films for people out there that don't know. We storyboard the movie. We cut it all together in editorial. We put scratch voices in there. We put, scratch music and sound effects. And you basically storyboard it to see what the movie's going to play like. And you watch it in the theater. And we do that several times over before we actually start making it, so that we can refine it. One of the reasons why big budget animated films tend to be pretty good to great, because they go through the process, which live action doesn't get to do very often. And but I remember it was our 3rd or 4th screening, and we tried a whole bunch of new things. And I remember, and we were sitting with a cold audience with the studio out in California.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just, as it's playing, I'm just sinking lower and lower and lower.
Oh no.
Cringing the whole time.
Right.
So the lights come up at the end of the screening, and everyone files out, and Tom stands up and he makes sure the door's closed, and he goes, "Well, now we know what we don't want to do." And then he said, "All right, let's roll up our sleeves and start remaking this film." And he had, like I said, he had every right to go, "All right, we're getting another director."
Right. Well, it's like Edison, right? I think, wasn't the light bulb finally result when he finally found the right filament or what have you?
Right.
I think it was something like 100
different tries and or whatever.
Yeah. It only has to work once.
Exactly.
Well,
it's funny. Even though we finally got to the end of it, when Brother Bear finally came out, it didn't do well with the critics. It did okay in the box office. It did all right.
Yeah.
But the critics hated it, and it really broke my heart, because we worked on it so hard. And but it's interesting. The kids that saw that film then are grown up having kids of their own now, and all of a sudden it's getting this big resurgence. I think it's more popular now than it was back then.
And nostalgia. Well, we're all nostalgic for our childhood.
Yeah, and so it's getting introduced to another generation.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, that's wonderful.
It's funny how that works
very
across
gratifying.
So many different artistic mediums, like I think of the first person that comes to mind is like F. Scott Fitzgerald, dying thinking that he's a failure, and he's one of the greatest writers of all time.
Exactly. Look at Van Gogh, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes genius to percolate through the masses.
I wouldn't say I'm genius, but hey,
just take the compliment. All right.
We'll just
take the compliment.
Yeah, go ahead. By all means. Well, it's like Van Gogh. I don't think he sold a painting in his lifetime.
No.
Not one.
No, it's a sad, sad story.
So we're all doing pretty good out here. No complaints, right?
Yeah.
So what's on the horizon at this point?
Oh man, I've got about 7 different projects that I've got in various stages of development. Whether it's I've got some animated shorts, I've got some feature. I've got a prequel to Snow Bear. Feature length project. But I think I'm gonna do it as a graphic novel first. So I'm gonna sit down and do that over several months, and then and we'll see where it goes from there. One of the things I'm super excited about is kind of holding on to my animation and art background, but also going into my love of going out into the world and finding animals and chasing animals and drawing and all that. Back in November, I had the opportunity to go to Churchill, Manitoba, which is way up northern Canada, on Hudson Bay, where the polar bears come together. And so
I was going to say bear country for sure.
It is, and we saw polar bears. We went up and documented this trip, and documented the whole thing, and spent some time in the town up there, and we saw hundreds of polar bears. And we're turning it into this little kind of in the vein of, I think, like Anthony Bourdain, but this travel documentary, but rather than like food and like Anthony Bourdain did, we're coming at it from a conservation artist standpoint and animation.
Oh, wow.
And we just finished up the first pilot on that, and we're kind of looking at what we might do with that. So that one I'm super excited about as well. So we got a lot of diversity out there that we're trying some new stuff,
right,
along with our teaching and all that too.
Yeah. Well, I'm always fascinated. I remember when they were doing The Lion King, they sent artists over to Africa to, and I remember after seeing Lion King, I ended up over in Africa for a month or so, and I just couldn't believe how Pumbaa looked exactly like that's how they run.
I know.
That's how they go. That's what meerkats do.
Yeah,
and they had Zazu.
Yeah.
Zazu, it was perfect.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it until I saw one in real life, and I went, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah.
Look at that. There. Where are you going, Zazu? I was waiting for him to say something.
There's this camp that we go to, the cheetah camp in the Masai Mara in Kenya. And
yes,
you go there every couple of years, and there's the guy that owns the camp. His name is Jorge, and he's this bigger than life Spanish guy. He's from Spain, and man, I want to get him on camera because he's just my friend, welcome. And he's just awesome. He's fantastic.
Like Falstaff, huh?
What's that?
Like a Falstaff kind of guy.
Oh yeah, he's just great. And so that's a whole other episode I want to do. Just
yeah.
Wow. Fantastic.
That's wonderful.
And you mentioned your website earlier. What's your website that people can find you at?
So my website is creatureartteacher.com. Creature Art Teacher. And then, any of my social media is Aaron Blaise Art. So it's just hashtag Aaron Blaise Art or at Aaron Blaise Art. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And I also want to say for anybody watching or listening, you did a great interview with the Corridor Crew, which is one of my favorite YouTube channels. And I think those guys are just so talented. I love their content. Yeah, they're such a talented bunch. And you had a great interview, and it's really cool, to watch you in real time, looking at drawings of yours and critiquing them and everything like that. So anybody who wants to check that out, that's another great episode over on the Corridor Crew's YouTube channel.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that was great. And you'll notice I've lost about 80 pounds since that interview too, literally. I'm on my way to dropping 100 pounds, but I've dropped 80 so far.
Really?
Congratulations.
I didn't know that. Congrats.
I let myself go there during that period. So I gained 100 pounds. Yeah.
So somebody's got to take care of the pizza market out there, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Take the sandwich out of your mouth.
Yeah. My goodness, Aaron, this has been so wonderful.
This has been amazing. I've been looking forward to this ever since since I've been watching your podcast,
Sure.
since you asked me to be on, and so I just want to thank you so much for thinking of me, including me, and making this happen.
Thank you. Well, you're highly noticeable.
It's called being a squeaky wheel. I'm a very squeaky wheel.
I don't know about that. You're a very talented one, that's for sure.
Well, saying that feels both ways. So thank you so much, and I hope we get to work together. I hope we get to do something.
Amen. Yeah. Well, write something and I'll say it.
There you go.
Animate something and I'll do whatever it is I could do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we might take you up on it. We got some ideas that I think you would fit into as far as courses for our site, or maybe doing some, whatever. We'll figure something.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Christopher's there too.
I'll push it open.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, Chris is on the animation path too. Now he's
I have my first ever voiceover role in an anime series. The premieres next month. I'm really excited about that.
Congratulations! I can't wait. What is it?
Yeah, it's called Hollow Healer. It's kind of a mythical tale about about a warrior who loses his family and kind of channels all that energy in a negative way with all these godlike powers, and it's very intense and very emotional. It was a fun project, and there's gonna be more iterations in the series, so look out for that. Hollow Healer, it's
That's
coming out
great,
soon.
man. Wow,
Yeah.
great plug. Awesome.
Yeah,
So stay tuned.
very exciting stuff coming down the pipe.
Yes.
That's great.
All right.
All
Do
right,
you want to wrap it up, Christopher? Are we there?
Yes,
I
indeed.
feel like
yes,
we're there.
indeed. Well, without
Yeah,
further
that was
ado,
good.
thank you guys all for watching. We really appreciate you. And if you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps us. It helps you find this channel again. And if you like it so much that you want to see more good news, we're on Patreon. Tuned In with Jim Cummings is on Patreon. We have bonus interviews, bonus content that you will not find anywhere else, so be sure to check that out. And this year, we're also doing a live tour with Fan Expo. We got some dates coming up. We just recorded an episode in Orlando with John Rhys Davies. Very, very talented and hilarious.
Unbelievable.
The next show we have coming up is in Calgary at the Calgary Expo from April 23rd to the 26th, followed by Philadelphia May 29th to 31st, Chicago August 14th to 16th, Toronto August 27th to the 30th, Dallas September 11th to 13th, and San Francisco November 27th to 29th. Once again, we're doing this podcast live in front of a live audience. It really creates a different energy. And of course, we record all those and post them the week after on YouTube, but the live recording really... you get to see some things that may or may not be edited out, and you get to feel the energy of the crowd. You
never know.
It's a good time. So if you're in any of those cities or nearby, come check it out. Once again, I am producer Chris, the legend himself, Mr. Jim Cummings, and Aaron Blaise. Thank you so much again for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much.
Godspeed. Thank you.
And we will see you all in the next one.
Bada boom.